All right, Zahraa, I'm Shanti Amalanathan, and again, I'd like to thank you for participating in my research project about how American Muslim women entrepreneurs are pioneering the modest fashion industry in the US.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the interview questions. I'll start with some background questions first.
Mhm.
What is your first and last name?
My name is Zahraa Berro.
And your gender?
I am a woman. I'm female.
And what is your race and ethnicity?
I am Lebanese Arab American.
And what is your religion?
I am Muslim Shia minority.
And how old are you?
I'm 33.
Do you have any disabilities?
No,
What is your highest level of education?
a bachelor's degree.
Where are you currently living?
I live in Orange County, California.
Okay. Where else have you lived?
I've lived in the East Coast. I'm originally born and raised in Dearborn, Michigan, the largest Muslim American population in the United States.
How would you describe your sexuality?
Um, I'm a sapiosexual. I'm attracted to very intelligent, smart, successful men.
Great. Are you in a romantic relationship?
With myself, yes.
The best kind, and happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. You too.
And can you describe your professional background?
I have no professional background in terms of like anything really fancy or extra. I went to college and I studied accounting and I worked as an accountant for a few years for a nonprofit organization and pretty much was entrepreneurial all my life. And I failed and failed and failed and failed again and again and again. But it's in my blood. And eventually I was going to succeed one day. And, Zahraa The Label popped up.
That's a great story. Can you describe your personal clothing style and if or how it reflects your Muslim identity?
Yeah, so this is I love this question because, you know how like seasons change, people change, you get older, one day you want to have this hairstyle and that hair color, and one day you want to drive that car and this color. And so with style, it's a language. And sometimes and you express yourself when you get dressed every morning. And so my closet has changed drastically over the years and it's continuously changing. In fact, it's going through a change right now. I have been really influenced in my personal life to take care of my gut health, to take care of my mental health, to take care of my skin, to take care of me on the inside. And so naturally, it's going to reflect a beautiful glow and a happy, healthy mind and happy, healthy face and happy, healthy body on the outside, because I want to feel good at the end of the day. And so this lifestyle change that I've done for my body, I've somehow shifted it into my lifestyle, which includes clothing as well. So I started to really consider biodegradable materials. How do I recycle plastics? How do I avoid purchasing plastics? For instance, I don't buy plastic bags anymore. I buy biodegradable bags. If there's any food that goes to waste, I throw it in the food bin. I don't throw it in a plastic bag because I really care about recycling everything the way it's supposed to be. And so one of the things that I really got into was sustainability and understanding where my clothing comes from as best as I can get that information from the internet. And so I started to do a lot more research on the internet on what makes a sustainable brand a sustainable brand. Why would I support this brand and not that brand? And so I started to become more conscious of not only what I ate, not only what I thought, not only what I watched and what I read, but also how I dressed. And because that was a reflective of my inside, and it was also a way that I can express who I am. And so right now I'm going through this in my wardrobe where I'm very intentional with the pieces that I purchase. I don't want to buy fast fashion pieces. I don't want to buy fast fashion items that are just trending for a summer. I want to buy something that I could wear for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that could sit in my closet and it's made of amazing quality, amazing materials, and it has a story. And so that's what my wardrobe looks like. That's what my style has evolved into. And so I went from having a massive closet, and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I used to think that that space was not enough for me, and that I needed a 3-bedroom and a 4th bedroom to store all my clothes, like all the other influencers. And I said to myself, this is more than enough space for me. So I donated a bunch of clothes to like Afghan refugees, and I left what I needed. So I started to become very intentional. I started to look at staples. What do I need on the daily? How many pants do I really need? How many tops do I really need? How many gowns do I really need? And so I started to think about what pieces I could wear over and over, and how I can make different outfits with those same pieces that I can curate over the course of many years. And so that's what I'm evolving into. I haven't, like, for instance, right now we're entering warmer weather in California. So we're entering spring. And so I looked at my closet the other day and it's like, oh, okay, I don't have anything for spring. So now I got to think about what pieces to purchase that I could wear for spring and summer that can kind of somehow overlap into fall, winter. So that's kind of what I'm going through right now.
I feel the same way just about right now as well. So can you describe an outfit that you might wear?
Oh my goodness. I have been obsessed with very long coats, maxi coats that go up to the ankle. I've been really obsessed with them. And also like black pants, a very beautiful or a vegan leather belt, which I have not purchased yet, because those little accessories make all the difference. And just like really simple hijab, very dainty jewelry, a white button up, and like a very beautiful Strathberry bag. Just something very simple, but it speaks so much. So I've been very into classic looks that make you look like that woman, you know. So that's what I've been really loving lately. I purchased a few long coats. I didn't like how they fit because I'm still building my wardrobe. But I feel like that's the type of outfit that I would love to wear, and I feel like you can never go wrong with it.
That's a
It's such
great way to head into the springtime.
Yes, it's just the statement long coat. I've been really loving like long trench coats, especially like leather ones. I've purchased a couple, but I don't like how they feel. So now I'm like, okay, now I have to make it.
There you go.
So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, what a great project. I can't wait to see it. And then, so tell me how you feel when you're wearing clothing that reflects your Muslim identity.
You know, what's interesting is this is such a dilemma, even in the Muslim world. Like, you know, asking women how they like to dress and how they like to feel with each other, because you see, Muslim women, we have different identities. We don't all wear hijab. We don't all wear the head covering. We don't all cover up. A lot of us look differently, but we're all Muslim at the end of the day. And for me, it's very important that I just stay true to my values. That's something very important to me, that I don't compromise my values at the end of each day. And I remember who I am. I remember my roots. I am proud of my identity. I am proud of my faith. I am grounded on the roots of Islam and modesty. And I would never let anything shake me or shake my core, because one example my father taught us growing up was when you go out in the world, when you go to JCPenney, when you go to Macy's, and you see people from all walks of life, do they want to look like you? I said, no. So why do you want to look like them? They are proud of who they are. So why don't you be proud of who you are? And I'll never forget that, because it was such an empowering statement in which said, just love who you are, love your identity, and love what you were brought into this world. And so I'll never forget that very empowering statement that my dad told me from such a young age. And so I teach that to my daughter, and I teach that to my son, is just be very proud of who you are every single day. And so dressing modestly for me is part of my identity. It's part of how I express myself. See, some people see this as a form of oppression, but in reality, it takes very high courage and significant belief and very strong rooted belief to be this woman in the modern Western societies, is to stand strong and say, hey, this is who I am. This is how I dress. And this is what I believe it. Take it or leave it. And so it's a very empowering movement that I live every single day. And it's just made me such a strong woman. And it only pushes me further, because nothing is more strong and attractive than an empowered woman. And so, as an empowered Muslim woman, nobody could take that floor from me. Like, that is my floor. And so, that's how I go about that every single day.
I think that's a beautiful movement and mantra to live by, not only for Muslim American women, but for
Woman,
all women, all men, all people
all
at the end
people,
of the day,
proud of
all
who you
cultures.
are. 100.
Exactly. And what was your experience when shopping or wearing the products you offer before starting Zahra, the label?
Yeah, so I mean, I was a huge, again, going back to the topic of like, what does my wardrobe look like, right? I was huge on fast fashion, wanting the latest trending pieces, and shopping at H&M, shopping at Zara, like your typical, stores that like the majority of shoppers shop at. And I was always wanting the latest thing, the latest dress, the latest this, the latest that, and I was just jumping on it. And so that's how I used to shop beforehand. And so when I started Zara the label, it started off as a fast fashion label. It started off as fast fashion. We're still in the fast fashion space right now, where we we meaning like myself and the team, we try to push out as much collections as we can per year. But we are definitely evolving the brand and changing the brand into the sustainability movement, where we're very intentional with our pieces, with our quantity, so we do not waste, and also limiting the collections to around 4 collections per year, one per season. And that allows us to gain control of that market and focus more on designing pieces that last long in the wardrobe and they have a story. But yeah, but going back to what you're talking about, I used to shop fast fashion, and that was pretty much my wardrobe. And after Zahra the label, I guess you could say when I was building pieces and designing pieces with my fashion designer on the team, I was designing pieces that I loved, because if I loved it, then my followers would love it and they'd wear it. And if other influencers in my same space loved it, then their followers would wear it, which is how Zahra the label grew, because that was my strategy. And so that's how it all began and that's how it all started. But it is shifting. It's definitely shifting because we're growing as a company, because I feel like I myself am growing as a person, and so naturally it's going to reflect in my own company.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to transition into part two of the interview, where we're going to talk about the Islamic modest fashion market in the United States. So let's start a little bit with your company. How and when did you think of and launch Zahra, the label?
Yeah, so ever since I was a young girl, I always hustled. um, I remember in high school, it was my senior year. We had to like raise money for our graduation. And I remember I was like part of the like president and vice president group of the National Honor Society, and all of these different groups. And we had to raise money. So I'd go with my friend and her mom to Costco. We'd get ice cream, chips, snacks. We'd hold basketball events, tournaments, and just sell stuff. And I remember we raised like $8,000. But I was like on top of the game. I was the one collecting all the money, making sure we had enough of this, we had enough of that. And so naturally, I was entrepreneur from such a young age, but I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. Turned 18, started a headband business, didn't sell well. There was no such thing as Amazon. eBay was like, I never knew about eBay. So I was relying on my local community, my dad's smoke shop, to be honest, to sell those items. That didn't work out. I got married. I had a daughter. I started a baby boutique. It was called Allure Baby Boutique. That failed, didn't work, because I also relied on my community. And so your question about when did I think about it, I think it always was there in terms of being entrepreneurial and just having my own company or having my own business. I was really into buying something and selling something. I feel like I was just good at that. It was like an art. It was natural. It just came out from me naturally. But I didn't really pay attention to that because I'm Arab. And so if you don't know this, Arabs like for their children to become doctors, pharmacists, lawyers, like very like high value professionals. And so I did that for the first 4 years in college at University of Michigan Dearborn, and I didn't do well my last year. And I realized I was like, okay, this is not for me. So that's when I switched to business, and I did really well in that. But even then, I was not filled on the inside. So when did I think about it? It was in my teens. That's when I started. But when I thought of Zahraa the label specifically, it was in 2018 when I got divorced, and I wanted to design a skirt that I had found a picture of a girl wearing. It was a beautiful mini plaid skirt, and I said, I want to make this for Muslim women because I do not find gorgeous maxi skirts like this. I didn't have enough money. I was making $12 and some change per hour. And I remember asking my local seamstress and buying the fabric online. I couldn't afford it. I was like, not now, but one day I'm going to do it. And so I started working for some other brands. My influencer marketing platform kind of started growing. I started saving money, and then bam, January of 2020, I started designing pieces, designing the branding, designing the tags, the labels. And then in October of 2020 of that year, I launched Zahraa The Label, and it's been a hit since.
Amazing. Wow. And which year did you say you officially incorporated your business?
October of 2020 was when it launched, and
Yeah.
then May 2020 was when I actually registered it.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you.
What an interesting time to, start your business and launch.
During the middle of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And it thrived. It thrived beautifully.
Good for you. Now, can you tell me the significance of the name of your company?
Yeah, that was so difficult for me to kind of come about because I had my own personal blog, which was zahraaberro.com. And I looked at other brands because like I'm very observant. And so I would look at, okay, Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, Veronica Beard, all of these were like names of people. And I said to myself, like, okay, do I want to do it Zahraa Berro? Like, how would I kind of go about this? I didn't know how to go about it because, again, it's just me. I don't have anybody to assist me. This is me and only me. And so I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And I said, do I want my name on shoes? Do I want my name on like my full entire name on things? And I said, I can't because my name is a holy name. So I have to be very careful where I place it. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to put my full name. I'm going to just call it Zahraa The Label. And it's going to be a very specific label with very specific pieces for a very specific type of woman. And so I just called it Zahraa The Label. And so for short, we do ZTL. And I was wearing it all week, but I have my ZTL unisex sweats that are a hit. And that's just for short. And I said, okay, I need something because my holy name can't go on something like shoes or things like that. We find that disrespectful. So we can't have religious names on like shoes or undies or things like that. So I was like, okay, I need a cute little logo. So I just did ZTL, and you never know, that might evolve too into like a little icon or something like that. But that's the story of Zahraa The Label. And I thought about it too much. I was like, Zahraa. I was like, but wait, then there's a Zahraa and they're going to confuse Zahra with Zahra. And I was like, I don't want to run into any trademark issues. And I was like, okay, just Zahraa The Label. So that's what it's called, Zahraa The Label.
I think it's good to overthink these things. This is, you took on an extremely ambitious venture, and so many other companies have gone wrong by misappropriating Muslim holy names. I believe there was an incident with Nike and the sneakers years back. So I think you're taking a very smart and cautious approach.
Oh, absolutely. And, I revere because I'm a very faithful woman. So, and a Muslim. So it's very important to me that like things like that never happen. And I take my name is a holy name, and I'm very proud of my name, just like I'm proud of my identity. And so I'm very careful where that name is placed in people's.
And what does your name mean?
Zahra means like the bright one, the brilliant one. Actually, I am named after, so there are 4 holy women in Islam, and I am named after one of them. So my name has a very high, it's highly revered in Islam. Okay, so she's one of the ladies of heaven. She's actually the first lady of heaven. She's the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, of course.
All right, now I'll just go into a general overview about your company. So can you tell me a little bit about your business model?
So this is interesting because when you start as an entrepreneur, you have no idea what you're doing. You just do it because you love it. And so that was my journey. I didn't have a method. I didn't have a strategy. I never knew marketing. More than my personal followers, my personal platform that I've built. And my business model was, if I wear it, they're going to buy it. That's it. And that's how it started. And that's how it's going to continue, because right now influencers are brands. And so it's almost like you can design anything. And because you have people so loyal to your life, They know everything about your life. Because right now you can't put, like, you can't put a face to Tommy Hilfiger. You can't watch his vlogs. You don't know anything about his life other than he probably lives like a very lavish lifestyle on the low. But then you have Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, who have YouTube channels, who have TikToks, who are trying to get into the relatable space. But before all of TikTok and whatnot, they had YouTube channels or they had reality TV shows where you connected with the face of that brand. And so if you loved Kylie as a personality on TV, you best bet she was going to sell out from her lip kits when she first launched them, which I think sold out in the first 30 minutes and her website crashed. And so that was my strategy, is influencer marketing. And if I wore it and I designed it, and I was really good at selling. Remember, I've done this since I was in high school. And so I kind of built that on, and that was my business model to start. And it still is my business model. I would say we've added on a lot ever since that in terms of marketing and advertising, of course, because that's how you scale a business. But my business model, I had no idea what I was doing other than if I wore it, they would wear it. If my friend influencers loved it, their followers loved it. And so that's how it grew.
That's a wonderful way to build trustworthiness with your clientele.
100%.
Okay, so now, do you design and produce your products?
Yes. We don't wholesale. Like, I don't like buy something pre-made. Everything is custom made. I am always I have the final approval on all designs. Previously, I had a fashion designer in like Dubai. She was doing the sketches. Then I hired a fashion designer for a period of time. And right now I'm back to working with another fashion designer in another country, specializing in sustainable materials, because the brand is shifting completely. So yeah, you could say I always have the final say. The inspiration comes from me solely. I'm inspired anywhere, anytime something comes out. I could be looking at a tree and feel inspired and say, oh, I wanted to have this type of silhouette type of thing. But yeah, everything comes back to me. I have the final say on everything.
Very nice. Now, do you sell online and in retail locations?
No, we don't sell in store. We're strictly online. We don't have a brick and mortar or anything like that. I think that right now, the way the world is heading, it's just the best to do online. And I'm literally talking to you. I just got this office yesterday, which by the way is not ready yet, but we just moved fulfillment back in-house because we were at a 3PL, which is a third-party logistics. We moved things back in-house to gain control of the company again, to exceed the customer's expectations and go above and beyond, and just have control over the business, because that's the most important thing. But we're strictly focusing on online right now. And you never know in the future where we can end up. I don't want to say never, I don't never want to do this, but I don't know what the future holds. But right now I'm focusing on one location, which is online, maximizing that, because I give it my all. I do 100%. I don't give 50% to anything. I give my 120%, 130 and above and beyond. So until this has been perfected, which it's not perfected yet, I won't think about anything else.
That's fantastic. And do you ever set up pop-up shops or plan to?
Yeah, this is a good question, because that's something that I've been thinking about. I always get invited to like seminars and like religious events where there's a bunch of vendors and you could go set up, da 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 da. And a lot of times they're in other states. And because I'm a single mom and I share custody, it's very difficult for me to like kind of go about that, because my kids come first. And I think that I have been very successful without them. And thankfully, I sell out much faster than a lot of people previously before me that have been in business for 7 to 10 years. So I had a good problem on my hands where I sometimes didn't have enough inventory to take with me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not ready yet. So one day we might consider it. We might do like sample sales here in LA or like Orange County, something like that. I've seen like brands like Zahraa Label kind of do something like that before. So it's really nice. But for right now, we don't have any pop-up shops or like flagship stores or anything like that. But again, you never know what the future holds.
That's true. And what type of products do you offer, and what is your price point?
Yeah, we offer 2 categories. We offer hijabs, and then we offer garments, which is like apparel. And for apparel, we have a bunch of different type of styles. We have dresses, we have loungewear, we have suit sets, we had a kids line, we had prayer sets, and we haven't had skirts yet. We'll get into skirts maybe next summer. But right now that's where we are focused on apparel, and then hijabs is around 80% of my business. I was very hijab focused. We still are hijab focused this year, but I am transitioning the brand into more sustainable hijabs, more intentional hijabs. You don't need 100. It's kind of like when you open up your drawer each morning and you're like, okay, what type of bra am I going to wear? The black bra, the white bra, the nude bra. And so for hijabs, it's like you don't need 3 drawers for bras. And you don't need 3 drawers for hijabs either. So I want to get very intentional with the hijabs that we're going to be pushing forward, which is going to be certain color palette. We might introduce some seasonal colors and prints, limited edition, because again, sustainability, we don't want to do any waste. But right now we are 80% hijab focused. We have tons of colors, different materials, different styles. And we've grown so fast in just 2 years. Especially with our accessories, which is like our undercaps that you wear under the hijab. Mm-hmm. So I dye my own colors. We have our own material that we use. We also have our own styles that nobody else sells. So it's very exclusive. So that's where we are focused. So we're 80% hijab and like around 20% apparel.
Okay. And the next question is really about how you envision expanding your current offerings. I know you said you wanted to go into some skirts and sustainability lines. Was there anything else you're looking into?
Yeah, so it's mainly intention. So getting into our designs and our pieces with intention. So if you bought something during a season, you could still wear it the next season and that next season and that next season. And hopefully some of those pieces you could wear throughout the whole year. And so those are the types of pieces that we want to curate, and we are working on curating right now. Classic styles, that's very important. Like previously, I focused on a lot of trending styles, which is fine. Some trends can last 4 years, 5 years, and that's okay. Those are the types of trends we want to jump on. But if something is just going to be a trend June, July, August, and then it's going to be dumped in the trash, we are not jumping on that. We are not working with that. We want to work with classic styles, make classic pieces in classic colors that will fit your wardrobe for the entire year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So that's how we are changing. Another thing that we're focusing on doing is instead of selling hijabs individually, we're going to sell them in bundles in these really nice boxes where, okay, like if you like this color palette, well, these are the 5 hijabs that you need. And so that's something that we're considering as well. And also redesigning one undercap to be worn under the hijabs so the hijabs don't slip off. And designing that with intention that makes sense for everybody. Because right now we have like 20 different designs, which is cool, which is really nice, but you don't need that money.
Well, of course we don't.
You do not need that many.
Okay, so now can you tell me, I know you already touched on this, but can you tell me a little bit about your role in the company?
Yeah, so my role fluctuates on the day-to-day. You know, this past year in 2022, I worked with a few people. I hired some leadership roles that really did not push my brand forward. And it was such a learning experience for me because just because you pay someone X amount of dollars each month, which is a very hefty price tag, and it's around 5 figures a month, doesn't mean that they're going to give you that value. And always trust your gut as the founder of your company, and always believe that you will always have the greatest significance because nobody's going to care about your company like you do. And so my role changes on the daily. Like right now after this, I have to help them ship orders because we are backed up. I moved fulfillment back in-house, and that means I don't have enough people because hiring takes time. And so right now that's what I'm doing. I'm assisting with the back end of things, the unfun things. I have to join meetings. I sit on design meetings. I sit on marketing meetings, things that I love to do, you know, as a CEO and founder of my company. And one of the most important things, though, that I want to share is that as a CEO and founder, you have to know how to do every role you hire. Because if you don't, which is what happened in 2022, you're not going to be able to tell if that person's doing a good job or not. Mm-hmm. And so my role is constantly changing, and I'm constantly learning every single day. And it takes time. And the greatest moment that you're going to learn is when you have a hard fall in your business, because that's going to teach you lessons you'll never forget, because you fell real hard. And nobody likes to fall hard, but you know what? When you fall, you get up so much stronger. And so 2022 really taught me a lot in terms of my role, is that show up whenever, whatever, at any time, as needed. You have to be there for your customers. And see, I'm the type of person where if customer service sometimes might not answer an email, which is very rare if there's like crazy amount of people, they'll come to my DMs and I answer them. And I'll say, oh my God, what's wrong with your order? Okay, it's not what out, it's not this, or you're missing something, which is very rare. Okay, let me work on this for you. I just handled it for you. So I have to be that. I have to be that. And so that allows me to connect with them a lot better, because now they're like, oh my God, the founder is helping me with an issue. I'm going to support this brand. I'm going to be loyal to this brand. And so my role is changing ever so constantly.
Can you talk about your design and or your product development process?
Yeah, that has changed as well over the course of the years. Before, I would be on Pinterest and I would find something nice. Let's just say it was a mini skirt or like a short sleeve blouse, or like a short blouse that was long sleeve and I wanted to make it longer. I would take this image and I'd say, hey, I like this. Add this part of the top, add that sleeve, add that tie belt, put that together. They would sketch it for me. I would work with manufacturers that had 3D design. They would 3D sketch it for me, or they would sketch it by hand, because I didn't know that you needed to hire a fashion designer, because the first manufacturers that I worked with kind of did that for me for free. And so they would sketch it, they would sample it, and I would be like, whoa, that looks great. Okay, let's do another one. And so that was like my fuel. It was perfect. My margins were insane. And I kept at it. I kept at it. I kept at it. Obviously, when you're no longer doing 1, 2, 3 designs and you're doing 20-piece collections, now you got to get really intentional. You're going to say, okay, what colors are we working with? Because you got to think about the campaign. You got to think about the website. You got to think about the season. And so now I needed to get more nitty gritty. So that's when I hired a graphic designer / fashion designer from Dubai. She was also Muslim. And so she's worked with a few other Muslim brands. And so she had a lot of knowledge and experience bringing my ideas to life. And so that's how we worked together. And so I worked with her for around 1.5 years. And then last summer, I hired an in-house fashion designer who was amazing, great. She worked for Ralph Lauren. She worked for Levi's Jeans. And I hired her for the company, and we kind of like built our Ramadan collection, which is coming out in the next 1.5 months.
Right.
So we worked on that together. And right now, I no longer work with her because I work with a sustainability fashion designer, which is a completely different type of designer. And so I work with them. It's an actual company now. So in order to scale the business, you have to work with a very specific type of people, because I don't want to ever not know how to answer questions if a customer came to me. My story is very important. And we're focusing a lot on storytelling this year, more than just the product itself. The product is the story. And so I have to make sure that the story is very significant and I know every single detail. And so that goes back to the fashion designer who's sketching the piece. So everything is tied together. I'm learning so much. And so that's kind of how we go about it. That's how the design process is like. We also are on a World Global Style Network. I think WGSN.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
The trend forecasting company.
Yes, trend forecasting company. It's not cheap, but it is like a yearly fee, and it's great. You know, they're 97% accurate in their trends. They have huge amounts of reports on sustainability and ethical ways to produce garments, and it's very valuable information. And of course, every large brand is on WGSN, because that's previously, before, like, companies would send their fashion designers to Milan, Paris, and they would walk the runways, take pictures, kind of like sketch right away what they're seeing, and pretty much steal designs. Now we don't have to do that. Right now, the industry is so different because it's consumer first. 20 years ago, it was not consumer first. It was like, if it's on a catwalk and a model's wearing it, the customer or the consumer is going to wear it. It doesn't work like that anymore. Now people are more conscious of what they want to wear, of what they want to eat, everything like that. And so right now it's like, what are consumers talking about? What are consumers buying? What is the trend based on what they bought? And how can we predict based on that data what the next 2 years looks like, what the next summer looks like? And so that's how it works. The industry has shifted insanely. And so just learning about that, even though I'm not a fashion designer, I know nothing about fashion design. All right. I'm just good with like creative direction. I'm good with like, obviously influencer marketing. I'm good with like content creation as a digital creator. Like that's what I'm good at. And so I could still build a brand and work with fashion designers, but I have to understand what that process looks like in order to really say and assess how well they are performing in the business. And so that's kind of what it's like, and it's changing ever so. It keeps changing.
Yes, of course it does. And I'm an educator. So formerly a fashion industry professional. I worked at Hermes in luxury goods for about 15 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
I do understand how it's a very consumer centric
Mm-hmm.
industry. And that's why businesses in the long term don't succeed if they don't listen to their consumers.
Exactly. And as an influencer myself, like I'll ask my followers, like, okay, well, what color do you want to see? What print do you want to see next? What do you want? And if they're like, oh my God, this sold out so quick, please get it back. I'm getting it back because that's what they want. So that's very important to pay attention to what they're saying, because you would be very dumb as a brand if you did not utilize that as your greatest source of inspiration and as guidance to forecast what it is that you need to make. Because it's kind of like out there. So WGSN has played a critical role in that for us.
Okay, amazing. So they're basically your main source of inspiration for trends at the
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us where you source your materials from?
Yes, currently, right now, we stopped sourcing not from China, but from our like manufacturers in China, because we were using synthetic fibers, plastics, not caring about anything like that, just kind of like designing things because I guess like when you start something and you're like, oh, this like I know how to do this kind of thing,
Mhm.
and it was challenging in the beginning and then you got used to it. That's how it was for a period of time, but I started to get, because I'm changing as a person, I started to feel like, okay, where's the challenge? Where's the next challenge? Because like you're only going to grow if you're going to challenge yourself, especially as a company. And so right now we're shifting to Indonesia, and we're working with lensing and tinsel, which is a material made from wood fibers. And so I will know where my material comes from, which direct farm it comes from. And so that is beautiful because see, when you are in fashion, so there's different tiers of to know where your product comes from. So I believe tier 4 is your actual manufacturer. Tier 3 is where your manufacturer sources the material from. Tier 2 is where he gets it from. And then tier 1 is like the actual farm or plant. Because do you remember when Nike and H&M were under fire for using cotton from uh, 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 what was the province where the Uyghur Muslims were at? I forgot what yeah, because they didn't know where the tier 1, where that cotton was coming from. And so when their stuff came to the United States, customs kind of rejected it because they said, hey, like you can't be doing that. So that's very important to explain to your customer on your website, hey, we know where this fiber comes from. That's very powerful. And if I knew, like this is from Lululemon, like I believe this is like recycled. I'm not sure. I would have to check. But if I knew like, hey, this came from Indonesia, from a woman's farm that supported women from impoverished backgrounds, like I know the story. So I'm wearing a story. I'm not wearing just a product. I'm wearing a story that I could tell other people. That is a beautiful story that has an impact on people in a positive way. And so that's where I'm headed. That's literally where we're headed. So that's why I'm shifting. And China is huge in the fashion industry. And I believe I have 2 manufacturers in China right now that have worked with brands like Reformation, who are on the sustainability move as well. So I do have some in China, but I want to get very granular and specific. And so right now Indonesia has given me the time and the answers to the questions that I have with regards to the story that I want to tell, and really really sharing all of these details with me. And right now some of those manufacturers in China have not done so, and so I've kind of stepped back a little bit and just gave my energy to where I can get those questions answered.
Yeah.
So that's where we're headed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an increasingly important movement that speaks to the times, especially as younger generations really value the future. So we're starting to understand the damage that's happening in the fashion industry, whether it's environmental or social. So,
100%.
okay.
Yes, and that's what we're working on right now is the social and environmental aspect and impact that we can have as a small company.
That's great. We should all do what we can to play our parts.
No doubt.
And would you happen to have a few pieces of garments that you can walk us through?
I don't have pieces of garments right now because as I mentioned, we're transitioning, and so yesterday we were here till like 9 o'clock.
No worries at all.
Some of those are still in boxes. But if you'd like, you can check out ZahraaTheLabel.com in around 3 weeks. We're gonna have some of those new pieces coming up. And one of those pieces are abayas. And I don't have a picture for you, unfortunately, but abayas are traditional, very modest, long kind of dresses / gowns, I would describe them as. And they're very loose fitted. And you wear these during the month of Ramadan, which is the month where you worship. And we're like, we go to the mosque, we offer prayers, we give back to the community, we help the poor, we feed the poor, we give back, we treat our neighbor. Every day should be like this, but this month is very significant, and we fast to feel the people that are less fortunate than we are. And so we fast from sunrise until sun sets. And there's a reason why we do that. And it's to feel those people. It's to put ourselves in their shoes and be grateful for every single day of bounty and blessings from God. And so during this month, we attend the mosques and we go pray at night, and we do our holy prayers and our worship, and we wear this abaya. And so I designed this abayas this year, and the most popular color is black, but I decided, you know what? I'm not doing black. I want to do some very beautiful, simple, earthy colors. So I did 4 beautiful earthy colors, and they were like 3-piece sets. So you wear the traditional straight abaya, and it has a beautiful cardigan on top with these gorgeous bell sleeves and a matching hijab that you could just throw over, and you just look seamlessly modest, and it's also very trendy. And so those pieces are, like, I would say I'm very proud of, because they're my first abaya collection that people have been dying for that. They're like, Zahra, please, please, please make a abaya collection. And I'm like, I know I have to make one. I said, you know what? This is my 3rd year. This is my 3rd Ramadan with them. So I have to, this is my 2nd Ramadan with them. So I have to show up. And so I did that this year. But right now, I don't have it with me, unfortunately. And those photos are currently being edited.
That's
if I had them with me, I would have shared my screen and showed it to you.
No, that's great. That you're starting to offer the abayas now, especially because, following as we kind of transition into our day-to-day lives, as we transition from the pandemic, people are looking for more party wear. So
no doubt.
And can you describe how some of your pieces might be different than what's available on the market?
Yeah. There's tons of modest fashion brands, tons of hijab brands. You have very big brands, brands that I've worked with before as well. And every brand is unique in their own way and has their own touch, their own style, their own materials. Right now, we're known for our exclusive styles and our exclusive colors. So if something is available at Zahraa The Label, it's only available at Zahraa The Label. And, as we say, designed exclusively just for you by us. And so every piece is exclusive. Every piece is designed with intention. I think for the end of, Q4 of 2023 and onward, I want to be known for the materials that we offer. And those materials will be specific to Zahraa The Label. And that's what's going to set me apart from my competitors, is not only the design, but if you want to feel this jersey, it's only available here. And here's the story behind it. It's kind of like Lunya sleepwear, where if you want to wear a Lunya sleepwear or a Lunya pajama, you can only find it at Lunya, because that is their material, and you could shop by material because they're known for their materials. And so that's the goal, is to create materials that we work with and build apparel and designs based off of those materials and kind of stick to our core materials. So that's what we want to be known for, and that's how we're going to be exclusive. But right now, our exclusiveness is strictly design.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about halfway, maybe 3/4 way through. I'm going to shift and talk about some customer related questions, some challenges, some feedback that you get, marketing, business funding, sustainability,
Let's do
and
it.
community support.
Of course, let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. So tell us about your customers. Who are they? How do they interact with your brand? How do customers find out about your brand and how do they purchase?
Yeah, this is a good one. When I first started, it was mainly through me. It was mainly through my personal brand. I didn't have money for marketing. I was the only one who invested in my company. I saved up $20,000. It started with 200, then I invested 20,000 after that. It kind of like built its way in. And my customers would come directly through me, started working with influencers and giving influencers free clothes. And sometimes those influencers would purchase those items from me and wouldn't wait for me to send it to them. That's how much they loved it. And I would give them a code, they'd share the code or link my brand on their site, on their stories or on their feed. And slowly it started to just build the brand, and people started to hear more about it. Word of mouth, people loving the material, people loving the craftsmanship, people loving the styles, the silhouette, the way that it fits. People love that so much. And so starting Zahraa The Label, that's how it was focused on mainly organic growth, because there was no money spent for marketing. Even email marketing, I was doing it by myself. Facebook ads, I didn't really do Facebook ads. And again, this goes back to ordering a little bit and selling out so quick that I didn't even know how much to order, when to reorder. I didn't understand lead times, logistics, freight, and never knew none of that. I just thought, oh, this is cute to make. I want to make 100 of it, and I would sell it. And so when that sold out, it was like, oh, oops, well, I probably should have thought about making the designs earlier, because now I got to wait 6 months or 3 months or 4 months.
Right.
And so then I started to understand, okay, it doesn't work like that, Zahraa. You have to do designs early on, because it takes 6 months to 9 months, sometimes up to a year, for those designs to be at your doorstep on your website. And so that's how it started. That's how it started.
All right. And so how much interaction do you have with your customers, and who is interacting?
I am always front and center of the brand, whether that's in shoots, whether that's sometimes in customer service, whether that's sometimes in emails where people email me directly or send me a message directly. I'm always there. They are my number one. And I always let them know that I do this for you. I have no life for you, because I love it. And I will continue to do this, because at the end of the day, everything I make, everything I design, sacrificing my time, my friends' time, my going out time to be here and be 1,000,000% dedicated to this business is for them. It is all for them. Everything I do is for them. The amount of love that I have for my customers is unmeasurable. It's unconditional. And so if someone is upset or bothered, I try my very best to fix it right away, as best that I can, and issue them a gift card, issue them a discount code, apologize if something happened, which is a very rare occasion, and just put them first and let them know that I put them first. And that's very important. And that's something that I'm working hard on as the business scales. Because see, it's cute when you have a couple thousand customers and it's like, oh, now you need a customer service team. And now your customer service team has to respond in a certain amount of time and have to say a certain type of words. Then you got to use customer service softwares. And then you have to make sure that you are all aligned on that mission, that your customer comes first. And so that's how I make sure that I'm always front and center. I'm always focused. I'm the face of my brand. I'm always there. I show up anytime, any day as needed.
And do you have a customer service team in place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We have a customer service team in place, of course, because I can't handle that.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
I can't handle customer service. If somebody sends me a personal message, like a personal DM saying, Zahraa, da 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 da, I'm like, hey, thank you so much. A lot of times I'll send them to support, but if it's someone that like is a genuine follower, I've been chit-chatting with her for the past 2 years, she's been following me for 5.
Right, you'll
There's
take that
a
service to
bond
the next
there.
level.
There's a bond there. How can I help you? What can I do? How can I do to fix it? How can I be better? That's very important. One of the things that I'm going to get into this year is like these little quizzes and like incentivized, not quizzes, like forms people can fill out, letting us know how we can improve as a company. Because now I'm not just me. Now I'm a real company. I got team, I got employees, I got to make sure that they are 100% satisfied, because I can't just think that they're satisfied. I got to know that they're satisfied. And so I haven't really implemented measures like that to measure how our performance has been. So that's something that we're going to start working on this year because the business has scaled insanely fast.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And what type of shopping experiences do you want your customers to have?
You know, when you're on Amazon and you need a mug and you need it tomorrow before you go on your trip to Utah, and you go on, you hit Prime, you see what mugs are available, and you make sure that it arrives before 11 a.m. and your flight is at 2 because you need it with you on your flight. I want to try my best to give and deliver the Amazon experience to my customers. Now, realistically speaking, nobody matches Amazon's quick and fast delivery because they have fulfillment centers every 5 seconds in cities. And so what I can do is, number one, prioritize um, the fulfillment. So hiring more people, especially during peak seasons. Like right now, we're entering a peak season. I need to hire 10 more people in the next 30 days to be here. I need to have a good system in place. I need to make sure everybody's doing what they're doing, measuring people's performances. I need to have an A game when it comes to customer service, responding to people in less than 24 hours, hopefully in the first 12, assisting people ASAP. That's how I can prioritize them. I want to give them that undivided attention. If you email me, we are there. Because nothing feels better than when you DM a brand or message a brand and they respond right away, right then and there. Hey, how can I help you? Whoa, I just sent this message. That feels great. It makes them feel like you are there to take care of them. And so that's something that I have to work on completely improving, especially during peak seasons, especially.
Absolutely. Amazon has set the precedent for the rest of the
They
retail
have,
industry.
yeah, they have set it. They have set it in stone. And so, brands can't compete. So, that's the best we can do. And of course, having good relationships with like carriers like UPS, USPS, DHL, and making sure that they're picking up on time and everything like that, because it's very important. That's very important.
Yeah,
So
at the end of the day, that enhances the consumer experience.
100%. Yes.
All right. So now let's discuss some of the challenges and proudest moments that you've had. I love that. That is the mantra for today, to be proud. So what are you most proud of in your brand so far?
I think I'm most proud of myself as a person, the growth and impact that Zahraa The Label has had on not only Muslim women, but the modern modest woman worldwide. We've shipped to every single country you can imagine. And these are not small orders, these are large orders. We've had tons and tons of 5-star reviews because people are just genuinely loving our product, loving our mission, loving what we create and how we make them feel, which is empowered at the end of each day. And I think that at the end of the day, I look at myself and I say, I'm proud that I didn't give up. I'm proud that even in my darkest moments as a Muslim woman in the West after my divorce, I picked myself up after I cried and I said, you've got what it takes and you're going to do this. And I did it. And I did it and I struggled and I'm still struggling. And this room that I'm sitting in is my office / area for where my kids come after school because my family comes first too, just like my business does come first. So I look at myself and I say, I built this. There was a time where I was not able to think that I could make $1. I considered myself a failure. I could say, oh, I failed at everything. I did this business and that business and this class and this, and I failed at genetics and I failed at organic chemistry. I'm not good. I'm not good at anything. And I was a miserable person. And so I'm proud of what I overcame and I'm proud of who I am today, standing in front of you and the woman that I'll continue to evolve into because you keep changing. And naturally, this is going to reflect in Zahraa The Label. And so for me, it's all about change. It's all about intention, living your life with intention and focusing on yourself first. And I'm very female empowered. I'm very female driven because my religion puts woman first. Islam gave women rights before anybody gave women rights. And so I want to make sure that I take advantage of what God has given me in my natural right. And so I'm just very proud of myself and what I've done and what I've accomplished and what I've done to build Zahraa The Label in such a very short period of time, entering an industry where there were huge competitors that have been in this space for 10 plus years, 7 plus years, 5 plus years. but my growth in 2 short years was a lot faster than their 7 or 10. And I'm talking hitting millions in sales in a given year, quadrupling my sales in a given year, quadrupling my sales from month to month with strategy and marketing, studying these things and working with the right people. And so just seeing that as a person who had no blueprint, no anything to build what I have today, build my empire, build the modern Muslim woman's empire by myself, that is my greatest accomplishment. And the best part is my children get to see that. And they get to stand beside me and they get to see mom work and see the value of everything that I buy them. And they get to sit here and see me work there. They get to sit here and see me in meetings. They get to see every single part of that because I never saw my mom do any of that. My mom was just a traditional housewife. She was a traditional mother, which I think is very beautiful, by the way. It is absolutely beautiful what my mother did for us. And I'm very grateful for that. But I think that I have a calling. And I think that God wants me to do something bigger. And God tells us when you fall, you get back up. You get back up 2 times after every hardship, there's ease. He says that 2 times after each other. And so I take that now and I rely on that for my biggest support. And so I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of reaching this point. And I know that there's only going to be greater success moving forward. And to be honest, I haven't started yet. I have not started yet. This is all a test game. This is all a test run.
Well,
I have not
thank you for
started.
sharing all of that. It's quite moving and impressive.
Thank you.
And what can you say would be the most successful event for your brand so far?
Event in terms of like a season?
No, just anything that you can attribute success to in your brand. It doesn't have to be a season. It could be just anything that happened that was most successful for your brand.
I think this past Q4, I had sat down and thought real hard about how am I going to reach to sell what I sold in 2021 in 1 month. So how can I take what I sold in 1 year and do it in 1 month? Because I know that I can do it. What do I have to do? So I sat down and I thought about it. And I thought about the 16 people I had on my team that each played a role. And I said to myself, this time I'm going to lean back and I'm going to provide the strategy and I'm going to delegate each role to each specific team member. And I'm going to hold each person accountable for that role. And had meetings, weekly meetings. Everybody was on the agenda. I was taking notes. Someone else was taking notes. And I said to myself, this month I expect us to hit X amount of dollars, and X amount of orders. You could say I did 95% of it.
Wow.
And so that was nuts.
That's certainly an accomplishment.
It was nuts. And so I realized, I'm like, okay, I got a strategy going. Let me take this. Let me multiply my product. Let me multiply my team. This is how business is scale. And that's it. I have my equation. And so that was it for me, is doing that, having no idea if it was going to work or not, just completely relying on the belief that I can do it. But not I can blindly. I can by studying it, doing research, watching endless YouTube videos, following accounts that can help me grow, help the brand grow, because there's tons of free information online that people do not utilize. And so I said, I'm going to use it. And I did it.
Good
Very
for
close.
you.
100%. Very close.
And what would you say are some of the struggles that you've experienced with your business so far?
I think some of the struggles are hiring people to work with, like understanding that people have different personalities and just managing a team. I think that that's probably one of the worst experiences for me because I had no idea. I don't know how to deal with a person like this or like that. And so now I realize, I'm like, okay, this is why corporations make you do personality tests before they hire you, because they want to make sure that you fit the team, that they could work with you personality wise. So I didn't know that. And another thing is, as a woman, I want to work with as much women as I possibly can and hire women as best as I can, because this is a female owned business and it's owned by a minority woman. I'm a minority Muslim. And so I want to try to work with minority women from all backgrounds of life as best as I can. And that's something that I'm working on, because previously I had worked with men, which is okay. But now that I know what I know, I don't think that I would go that route. I feel like I was preyed on as a woman, in my space. I was, believe it or not, like they were intimidated by my growth, by my success. Excuse me when I say this. I felt like these men were leeches. They were hungry for the money and the success. They just wanted me to sign contracts and sign away equity in the company, which I did not sign because I'm not naive. And if you have a lawyer, you better make sure you hire a lawyer to make sure your lawyer's in check, and you don't sign a contract that your lawyer writes for you. So you always make sure that you're doing things right. And so that's what I learned, is hiring the right people, hiring slow and firing fast. Don't waste a dollar on somebody that's not going to provide value from the first day. Because I don't have money and budgets to lose. I can't spend $6,000 on somebody the first month. At the end of the month, say, oh, well, they stink. So have a good HR process. Unfortunately, I tried working with HR agencies that could hire, like hiring agencies, but they were taking huge commissions. And I was like, okay, I can't afford this. So I have to do this on my own. So I think that I'm kind of starting to understand what pre-screening questions to ask people, because at the end of the day, if they can't vibe with me, I can't work with them. And I work in a certain way. Like in my, like I'm a very good person. I'm very nice to my team, but you got to work. You're here to work. We're here to have fun, but you got to work. And so that's it for me. That was my biggest struggle, is doing that. And then the next one was fulfillment, is moving to a 3PL, because of those people that I hired. They gave me advice, and we didn't study it right. We didn't study it right. The numbers weren't mathing. And so I ended up losing lots and lots of money. And I'm talking $300,000 plus in a very short period of time, in around 4 months, and ended up moving everything back here and rebuilding again. And so those were my biggest struggles of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you share a little bit about the types of feedback that you get related to your brand and products? Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they folks from within or outside the modest fashion community?
It's mainly people that are in modest fashion. Believe it or not, I have tons of Jewish customers that buy our hijabs because they wear tikhils. A tikhil is pretty much like a head covering, but they call it tikhil, and in Arabic we call it hijab. It's the same meaning, it's the same difference. So I have lots of Jewish women that buy my dresses and buy my hijabs, and Christian women, and people from all walks of life that just love to be modest. They love our gowns. They love our hijabs. I have women that don't wear the hijab that buy the cotton crinkle hijabs, and they'll make it into like a cute little turban style with their hair going out. Because it's not one size fits all. People could wear it how they like and how they wish to wear it. But the majority of the feedback is positive. And if there's ever something negative about our product, send it back. We can give you a refund. How can we do better? But that's rarely happened. Very rarely happened where somebody was disappointed, because again, I'm not somebody who does 50% on anything. When a product comes in, I'm like this. I'm making sure that stitch is stitched. That craftsmanship is the A game. And that's why you have samples. And when those samples come in, you're measuring a new manufacturer's stitching, the material, the way they handle the product, the way they bag the product, from A to Z. So you have to work with manufacturers that care about the mission of your brand. And so that is how we make sure that we only have those positive feedbacks. And if there's any negative, we're here to improve. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. Now, just to talk a little bit about the advertising and the public imagery of Zahraa The Label. Can you tell me a little bit about how you market and promote your brands and products?
Yeah, right now we do email marketing, SMS marketing. We're very aggressive in our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Google Ads, PPC, SEO. We're very aggressive in that, especially during peak seasons. We go all out. So that's how we gain new market share. And I am the face of those ads 90% of the time. And I'm pretty good at I'm a good saleswoman.
I can
So
see that. I can definitely
yeah,
see
and you
that.
know what? I think what people really love about, I hate saying ads, but like, believe it or not, the ads that I make for my marketing team, they're great. And then I'll go on my stories and I'll post something and I'll say, download this right now, son. This is a perfect ad. Like I'll be at the mall and like I'll have my like mantra or something, and I'm like, you guys don't forget to shop the sale. Hurry, it's gonna end in like 3 days. Da, da, da. He's like, please send this to me. And those work so well because they're so organic and I'm my natural self. And so that's the marketing that has allowed me to grow, allowed the company to grow.
Which marketing avenue would you say that you're seeing the most return from?
Google and Facebook, and of course, email marketing is our top. Yeah. So email marketing is, we use Klaviyo. So that brings around 30%, sometimes 40% revenue. And then Facebook ads comes next, and then Google.
Okay.
Yeah, those are our top three. Yeah.
Now, I just want to go back to how you funded the business. I know you had mentioned it. Did you seek investors? Did you crowdsource? I think you mainly mentioned that your business was personally funded.
Yes. So I started Zahraa The Label on my blog. So before I started ZahraaTheLabel.com, I was selling something that looks like this. It was like a neck cover. And I had $200 and I bought some from China. I bought these cute little pink bags, got these cute little thank you cards from Dollar Store. And I started selling stuff on my blog. And I sold out the first month, second month, third month, and then I flipped. $200 became $3,000. $600 became whatever, 6,000. And then I was like, okay, I love this. I need to do more of this. And so I was like, okay, it's time for me to brand myself. I'm ready. I'm ready now. And so I started to work on it. And so I made $20,000 in like 6 months of selling those on my website, and along with other passive income streams that I had going on as well. And then that's when I really funded the business, and I went hardcore on the clothing, the sampling, the branding, the everything. And so that's how Zahraa The Label started. It was all personally funded. As the business grew, within a year, I took out loans from Shopify working capital loans. And I paid those back so fast because I was selling so quickly. Then I got another one. And then they would send me a third one, and they would like offer me like 60. And I would say, no, I want 120. And then they'd say, well, we can't offer you that. I said, well, I'm not gonna take it. And then they say, okay, we'll give you 120. And then I would go back and I'd get the 120, and then I would have more leverage to, go in the business and purchase more inventory. And so everything I made was deeply reinvested in the business. I did seek out 2 personal funders in the company last year because we were moving to fulfillment and we needed more money up front. I had 2 containers coming in from China. Each container was around $30,000. So I needed more money. And because cash flow was very important, I couldn't utilize some of the cash that I had, so I had to borrow money. So yeah, I do have 2 personal funders that have invested their funds in the business, and then Shopify capital loans.
Shopify has definitely made it
yes, I love
easier
them.
for small businesses to emerge today.
No, yep.
It's a great
Shopify.
and do you use them for your website platform as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only way they would give it to you.
That's true. That makes sense. And you probably touched on this, but maybe you can kind of just explain a little deeper. How did you or do you consider sustainability and ethical business models into your company? I know you're working with sustainability on your product line.
Yes, so we want to work on sustainability from an environmental approach and from a social approach. And so that is still a work in progress. I'm still doing research. I'm still working with strategists. I'm working with a Swedish company that specializes in sustainable brands, because a lot of brands are switching. Like if you go to H&M, they'll tell you by the end of 2030, they will be 100% sustainable because they are working with recycled materials. So they're around 80% there. And so you see that brands are starting to become very conscious of the materials, their story, and everything like that. So right now, it's, from an environmental standpoint, it's the product that we present to our customer, and from a social standpoint, it's how are our manufacturers operating?
Okay.
What are the working conditions of those factories? Are there permits from the city, from the state, from the country, showing that this manufacturer is ethical? And so I learned all of these things from the Swedish company that taught me all of this, and it's not free. You have to pay someone to teach you how to do these things. And then also you have to be in compliance with the law. So you can't just say, oh, I'm a sustainable brand. There are words you cannot use on your website because you will be fined. Because it is very important that if you present yourself as a sustainable brand, that you have certain wording on your website. You're not using certain wording on your website. It's very specific, and you don't ever want to get involved with the law, and you never want to break the law. So it is a work in progress. And perhaps maybe towards the end of the year, if you guys check out ZahraaTheLabel.com, you guys can see that implemented on our site, because we're currently working on that right now.
And what type of community outreach or CSR activities are you involved in?
I was involved. So I was in a organization called Who is Hussein, which is an organization that serves humanity based on justice, and compassion. And they worked on so many beautiful projects, especially when it came to like situations like, for instance, right now you have Turkey and Syria, the whole earthquake that kind of happened. So like, raising money on my platform, or donating clothing to them, or donating clothing to the homeless, blood drives with what is it called? What are they called?
The Red Cross?
Red Cross, yes, the Red Cross. And so that was the one of the CSR, one of the one of the community service things that I was kind of doing. I had to leave because the company was growing, and I don't like to not show up to meetings and things like that. But I like to do things on my own. I do live in the LA OC community, and so giving back to the community is very, very, very important to me. And so, feeding the homeless is something that I take very much pride in. I shared something like that on my YouTube channel where I did a little experiment. And it was very interesting to walk through people that were kind of homeless together, and just seeing how they live their day to day. And it was very difficult for me to see, because I'm a very compassionate human being. And so, especially right now during the month of Ramadan, as we enter the month of Ramadan, giving back to that community as best as we can. Right now we do have more efforts that we are working on with Zahraa The Label, which is giving back to women of color in our communities, and also supporting mental health rights for women, advocating for women's rights. So those are things that we're going to be incorporating in Zahraa The Label as well, because I don't want to just be a brand that is a sustainable brand and here's our story and it's done. No, there has to be a personality to it. I want to be humorous. I want to talk about mental health because that's very important to me. I want to talk about female empowerment. I want to tie all of these things together because they are all part of the same path. Nothing is separate. They are all parallel to one another. And so as from the business standpoint, that's how I will be giving back, is giving back to those girls, taking out proceeds. And I don't know how I would structure it yet. There are brands like the Giving Movement that take out $4 out of every product that you buy, and they support, I believe, like the poor people in the Middle East, they've donated over like $3 million so far. So that's a very beautiful story. So you feel like you're part of something and you're helping out. And that's very, very, very important. You don't want to be a greedy label. You want to always give back. And so we are getting onto that.
I wish you lots of success on
Thank you so much.
all of your new ventures and goals coming up.
Thank you so much.
And Zahraa, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with me.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. And do check out ZahraaTheLabel.com and follow Zahraa The Label and follow me, Zahraa Berro. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You guys can get to know me a little bit more beyond this meeting.
Will do. I look forward to sharing your story.